Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and we are joined on a special Patreon episode by our good friend, Sean Keenan.
How do you think somebody suffers from Batman envy?
Mm-hmm. And, of course, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and check out my red boots.
Oh, let me tell you, those red boots can't go much faster, ladies and gentlemen, because today, due to Patreon demand, we are going to be reviewing the Flash pilot from 1990, man. It had been, I don't think I had seen this thing since the actual pilot aired all the way back when.
Oh, wow, man. So you checked it out day one.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember as a kid, we were excited, man. You know, this is hot on the heels of Batman, right? So we were like, hey, another comic book thing, and it's on. We don't even have to go to the theater, man. It's on television. Heck yeah, this is going to be awesome. And I only remembered two things from this show. We'll talk about it, but it's going to be quite interesting here, man. But yeah, exactly. Like I said, though, this show is brought to you by the lovely people at Patreon, who have decided to help us out and keep this show a-flowing every month. And by doing so, even if you're from the $1 level on up, man, you get to vote for what you think that we should cover that month. And The Flash won out this month, man. So it's all on you guys. It's all you. Now,
has there been a TV show more 90s feeling than this? Man, it doesn't get much more 90s than 1990, The Flash.
This is 1990, so you really feel that transition going from the 80s to the 90s, too, because there are a few moments of 80s in here still, but then you get some definite 90s, some Vanilla Ice style clothing thrown in your face to go with a little bit of the 80s that still hangs around. So it really is like the brackish water of decades where the 80s flow into the 90s, and you get this weird mix that is neither fresh nor salty.
True. That's been, never mind. So I will say this, man. This is very interesting, and I think there's a lot of like really cool stuff that we can point out to that are very 90s that I think could stand to have a comeback these days. So, that's coming up, everybody. But speaking of...
Are you talking about the pastel-colored flannel shirt buttoned all the way up to the top button?
Listen, if you're going to spoil everything, fine. But actually, one of our patrons has sent us an email. So let's read this one. It's entitled Captain America, the First Avenger. G'day, gentlemen. That's pretty good. I wanted to let you know that after listening to your Captain America First Avenger show, I rewatched it and changed my opinion into the positive. I hated the first one, and I nearly didn't bother with the Winter Soldier, but thankfully I came to my senses, and it's one of my favorite Marvel flicks alongside Civil War. I'm glad that I've been a long-time listener and listened to the show to reconsider the First Avengers, so I can now watch the whole trilogy. As well you should. And I believe I'll echo Sean's statement, probably the best trilogy ever, just as far as quality from movie to movie to movie. Can't disagree with that. He continues. I like the new concept of a network, so I updated my patron to show some further support and ask Adam to stop making podcasts because he's taking up what little time I have with Nerd Talk now. Great work again on the show, guys, and look forward to what the future holds. Still enjoying the Stallone connection, Sean, and I'll get to your book soon enough, Bruce. Until next time, see you later. That is Warren. And Warren, thanks for the email, man. And if you'd like to send us an email, hearmoviepodcast@gmail.com, man. We really appreciate that. And like I said, Warren has jumped up his monthly subscription there on Patreon. And just because this is the Patreon episode here, I want to talk a little bit about what you guys kind of get with this level. Like I said, from $1 on up, you can come in and vote on whatever thing. So you today could have voted for this or maybe something else if you didn't like The Flash. But that's all on you guys. That's what's cool. So if you do that, that's pretty awesome. If you get the $2 reward, if we record the show earlier, you'll actually get that on your own private RSS feed. But the real meat and potatoes comes at the $5 level. $5 level, you get the before show that we tape, you get the after show that we tape, you get it early if it comes out early. Plus, every single month we put you in the drawing there to be able to get yourself a piece of HMP merchandise as well. The $5, all of them are great, and we appreciate every single person. But the $5, that's when the big time rewards kick in, and of course the $20 executive producer level there. of which today we need to thank our executive producers, longtime listeners here, Matthew Schnapp, the lovely Jim Beverly, Robert M. Barney, and, of course, our good friend RocketFace. These are the people that contribute the most and really help keep this show chugging along here, man. So what I am going to do is I'm going to spin the wheel of HMP giveawayery. Yeah, that's a word. And and we're going to find out
that's good.
Who gets the new HMP. We're going to go coffee mug this month. I hope you drink coffee. If you don't, you can put any kind of beverage in it. That's what they do. They hold liquid. Or if you want to put pencils in it. I don't know what the hell you do with cups. I guess that's your opinion. That's your decision, not mine.
You don't understand the concept of cups?
Yeah, get with it, man. They're cups. You literally can do. You want to roll out some biscuits and make some big ass biscuits or something with them? I don't know what you do with your life. Maybe you can't afford a cookie cutter. Now you have a mug with which to do so. There's so many applications. You could grow a small plant in it. You could grow a baby Groot inside that thing if you damn well please.
What?
Not only,
surely there's not that many uses for cups.
Not only did little Adam's shoes not match, one of them was a cup.
You never know.
That sounds an awful lot like the Christmas shoes.
Oh, the Christmas shoes made a comeback. Keenan for the win.
Oh, good Lord, the Christmas shoes. How many
I know
more?
my audience.
All right, so let's dig on into the HMP. Will you shut up and let me pick the name? All right, so coming in here, let's around and this. Do I need to? I don't want to Rush Limbaugh this up and swath papers in front of the thing. There you go. That's something. Very nice, long-time listener. I think he's been around since. He's got to have been around since damn near the beginning. Eric Freeman, my man, you have got yourself an HMP coffee mug, my friend. Just shoot us an email, and we'll see about getting that out to you and whatnot, man. But we appreciate it, and like I said, man, no matter what you do, just come on down, donate some money to the HMP, help us keep the lights on here. Hey, and if nothing else, vote for some stuff, man. Get yourself some free. Some free promotions and things. It's all there, man. Patreon.com/HMP. Thanks, guys. All right, let's get into it, gentlemen. Because the patrons have demanded as such, we are going to be reviewing the pilot for 1990's The Flash. Now, I haven't listened to the whole thing, but this is, man, I don't know where they put this thing because it is mega long. But we're going to listen to the trailer here. If it really starts to suck, I'll cut it off. But here is the trailer for The Flash.
Central City used to be a peaceful place. Now, something dark and terrifying is erupting from the city's core.
I thought you were upstairs. What do you think you are doing?
Central City is crumbling. Its people live in fear. And they will watch as we destroy their hero cops one by one.
Julio, cross-reference against a sample from that gun shop they hit on Tuesday.
Barry Allen is a scientist, not a hero. But when lightning strikes, it transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary.
Heart rate is accelerating. Muscle tissue expanding. You're holding at 200 miles per hour. 300.
347 miles an hour.
That was before the equipment crashed.
What's happening to me?
While the city goes crazy, so does Barry's metabolism.
I can't believe it was over so quickly. After all that anticipation, why bother?
20 bucks for a fight that's over in 2 rounds.
The question is, which will blow up first?
No more games. I want you to build a hood. Cover my face so no one will know who I am. You know that insignia they all wear on their backs? Well, I've got one of my own.
And then it just evolves into screaming from there, it looks like. All right, that was a trailer for The Flash. There's It was the 90s. They had to fill up an hour and a half, and you do most of it with screaming. Here's the IMDb plotline. A police forensic scientist, Barry Allen, battles crimes as the super fast superhero, The Flash. Couldn't be much simpler than that. My guess is our good friend Bruce Leslie has a little bit of something about The Flash for us.
I've talked about The Flash a lot, so I kind of struggled to come up with something here. But I will tell you that in 1985, Barry Allen died battling the Anti-Monitor. This was in Crisis in Infinite Earths, and the way that Barry died was that he ran so fast that he was able to stop the Anti-Monitor's antimatter cannon from firing by catching the tachyon beam at the heart of the weapon. Now, after this act, according to Secret Origins Annual number 2, Barry Allen turned into a bolt of lightning. And this bolt of lightning went back in time, broke through a police crime scene investigator's office, hit the lab, splashed the crime scene investigator with chemicals, and transformed his younger self into the Flash. So how's that for a bootstrap paradox? The guy dies by creating his own superhero. Now, unlike some characters in comics, he didn't just stay dead for a year or two. Barry stayed dead for like 23, 24 years. He stayed dead until 2009. So one thing we have to make clear, Barry died in 1985. He didn't come back to the comics until 2009. So that means Barry was dead when the 1990 Flash TV show starring John Wesley Shipp was made. Now, a lot of what I consider to be the backbone of the Flash character wasn't introduced until the Jeff Johns Rebirth issue less than 8 years ago. So watching this show, this pilot, I have to remind myself that that baby was out of sight, out of mind in the comics at that time. Now, this character was fairly different before Rebirth than he is now. But the time that Barry spent dead, a lot of significant things happened. His wife, Iris, gave birth to his children, the Tornado Twins. And that sounds like the name of a tag team in Mid-South Wrestling Association. I feel like, coming to the Cricket Arena on Sunday, May 17th, get your tickets now to see the Rock and Roll Express throw down with the Tornado Twins. But anyway, Wally West, the former Kid Flash, became the Flash while Barry was dead, and he married his true love, Linda Park. Barry made just a brief return in the 4th issue of Infinite Crisis. He came out of the Speed Force along with Johnny Quick and Max Mercury to help his grandson Bart Allen deal with Superboy Prime. Then he vanished again. Now, 24 years after his death in Crisis on Infinite Earths, Barry Allen's essence returned to the mainstream present-day DC universe proper. And how did it happen, some people may ask? Well, it was simple. Jay Garrick and Wally West felt vibrations in the air, and Jay Garrick said, don't you recognize those vibrations? After all these years, after all this time, look. And Barry Allen just vibrated back to life. I like it when people do things simple. They're like, who cares? Let's not get caught up in the details. We're just bringing the character back. That's my way to resolve something. But anyway, why am I talking about dead Barry Allen? Well, I guess because this series was kind of dead on arrival. I think it got canceled after one season, and Flash on TV seemed to be gone forever until Rebirth happened on CW about 24 years later. It almost mirrors the time span on the death in the comics. Ooh. Also, I couldn't find any stories where Flash battled an ex-cop turned outlaw biker to avenge his brother Jay, so I just went with what I had.
Hey, look, you did well enough, okay? Don't be so hard on yourself. Now,
I would have loved it if Pike was actually a character from the comics.
I know you would. You'd have ran with that bad boy, no doubt. So this happened all the way back in 1990, and I remember two things from this. I was I think 7 or 8 years old at the time, so I don't remember a whole heck of a lot. I do remember him cleaning up the room super fast, and as a child, you can imagine that was like, dude, I wish I could be doing some of that. Clean up the room super quick. And just running to the beach.
Yeah.
Outside of that and what the costume looked like, I do remember him fighting the blue Flash or something like a little later on. Again, it's super, super fuzzy because, that's quite a long time ago. But you guys were a little older, so but you don't think you watched this when it came out, Bruce?
I didn't see much of it when it came out. I didn't have any way to record things back then, and at 16, I was probably just doing my homework every night at 8, 9 o'clock.
What a nerd.
Oh man, either that or it was up against I don't know, Family Matters or something. If it was on Friday night.
Listen, if it was up against Family
It wasn't
Matters,
on Friday nights. It was on Thursdays.
Yeah,
Then that means it was all Cosby Show for me, man.
So here's my story. I watched this show religiously. I loved this show. I thought that it was criminally overlooked when it came to great superhero TV series.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very, very distinct memory. I was over at, this is how much nerd culture has changed from 1990 till us sitting here right now. I am at this girl's house that I really like, and I had to pretend that I had school spirit, and we were putting together school posters for, like, the swim team or some stupid thing like that. And there was a bunch of us. There was like 6 or 7 of us. But I am there very specifically because I like the girl whose house we're at. Yeah. And as we're putting posters together, they start looking through the channels. They start flipping through channels, and it lands on Cheers. But I know the flash is on. I know it's on right now. And I have to, and everyone's like, oh, Cheers, awesome. Yeah, keep it on Cheers. No, I love Cheers. Like, Cheers, I loved it even then. I loved it. But it was the Flash, man, and I really wanted to see the Flash. But I had to hide that I was a nerdy nerd who watched the Flash every week. So I was like, oh, nah, Cheers. Cheers is awesome. Because God forbid that girl know what a Dorcas Malorcas I am. And I think about that every time I see, like, hot girl wearing Spider-Man t-shirt or like cosplay by someone who isn't obviously a model that they've hired to put on the costume. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think of that every single time I think of that moment in 1990 where I was like, no one should know my shame. No one will know my shame.
So I looked up the 1990 Thursday night TV schedule, and I know what the problem is. I was too busy watching Father Dowling Mysteries on ABC. Followed by Twin Peaks. Talk about a weird lead-in. Twin Peaks has the lead-in of Father Dowling Mysteries with Mr. C from Happy Days.
Well, man, you want to talk about a change in culture from people Father Dowling culture back then to Father Dowling culture now?
Very different.
Very, very different times.
What's this mystery? Oh, that's okay. Very different. But no, look. Now, for those of you that don't,
he had the younger nun that helped him out. That was pretty darn cute.
You're watching for the nun.
Wasn't she a Nelson?
I don't know, man. Nelson Muntz.
Yeah. No. There's the rock group Nelson.
Oh,
and they're brothers.
Yeah, Gunnar and Matthew and Gunnar Nelson.
And they have a sister, and the sister plays the nun on Father Dowling, I believe.
I did not know that. I knew their father was a famous actor from Ozzie and Harriet fame, Ricky Nelson, but I did not know their sister followed in the family footsteps of acting.
I believe so. Let me look it up. You guys talk.
This has been Old Man HMP Corner.
Of Nelson. Yeah, but anyway, did you know how much this pilot cost, Adam? Did you run across that for this 90-minute pilot for 2 hours of TV time?
I did not see, no. What
would you ballpark it at? $1990 for an hour and a half of TV.
I'm going to say...
Or 2 hours of TV.
I'm going to say $1 million.
$6 million.
Wow, they spend $6 million on an episode of Game of Thrones now.
Yeah, so
in $1990. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I don't know what they spent the $6 million on. It sounded high for a TV show, but of course it would be low for a movie. So your mind just gets all warped with this kind of stuff. But I was kind of shocked to see that it was $6 million for the pilot episode. The follow-up episodes were under $2 million. So they really went whole hog on this pilot. And I thought it would have been probably just a little cheaper to do kind of like the old 80s backdoor pilot where you have the characters show up in another show and see if people like it or not, and then you get your production cost for the pilot covered by the budget of the other show. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
absolutely. Like they did with Green Arrow and The Flash.
Exactly. Only I guess at CBS in 1990 it would be Evening Shade or Major Dash.
Hey, I'm picking fences tonight. This guy starts running really fast.
I would love the Evening Shade episode where Burt Reynolds has to figure out who keeps swiping his cup of coffee or something.
God, I love
so
me
Tracy
some
Nelson
Shade.
played. Tracy Nelson is on Father Dowling.
She's cute, man.
She is. She's cute, and she is related to Ricky Nelson and Gunner and the like. It is. They are all family.
Man, I should have named one of my sons Gunner.
Man, I'm glad you didn't.
Gunner Gunfighter.
Gunner Gunfighter.
Gunner Gunfighter.
The kid's so nice they almost named him twice.
$6 million on this, and this is really before they had figured out what the secret was to handling special effects for a speedster, because at some point, and I don't know exactly when they figured it out, but I think they figured it out before Quicksilver really made it super famous. But the trick isn't to make the speedster look fast, it's just to make everything else look slow, you know?
Well, they're still working on $6 Million Man Time.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the effects where he's running are just downright hilarious. They look like something out of a Talking Heads video where he's running and he can't stop and everything's zooming past him. I'm expecting to hear, you know, this isn't my beautiful house and this isn't my beautiful wife.
So good.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you
there's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff about this movie. Our movie, this pilot. I'm putting it in the 1977 Spider-Man camp because there's a lot of things about this movie where it's just a time machine, really. Like, you know, yes, it's a superhero TV show. Yes, it's The Flash. Yes, they are clearly trying to capitalize on the success of the Michael Keaton Batman, but it's such a time machine, man. You know, like it looks and feels like this is the coolest of the cool at this very moment, you know, and everything's Art Deco and you know, and it's so like 90% of the show is clearly shot on a back lot. Yeah. And they do the really awesome thing where, you know, the Allens all get together for dinner and the father is 175 years old.
And that guy, Emmett Walsh, is a national treasure.
Oh, yeah.
He is indeed, but he's also like 90 years old on this show. And Barry Allen is trying to play, what is he, like 26? And his brother is probably like 55 years old.
His brother should have played the dad.
For real. And it's ridiculous. Like, it's one of the things that I really miss about television where they're all, like, producers at that point were just like, you know what? It's close enough. You know what I mean? I really miss that time where, like, hey, what the guy? Yeah, he's got an older brother, and his older brother is 30 years older than him. Who cares? Like, I really miss that about TV.
Oh, man, I miss the days where, like, the person cast as the mom was 27 and the person cast as the high school age son was 24. You know, I like
Here's something that I would have put money on. Emmett Walsh, still kicking.
No way.
81.
Don't believe you.
I love the guy. He is a treasure. I love Blood Simple. I've liked him ever since then.
He's one of those cats that would, like, you know, at 45 years old already look 75.
Wow. Yeah, he must have that same gene that Morgan Freeman has.
Yeah. I'm just going to forever be just, you know, this 59-year-old man.
Now, what year was the Greatest American Hero pilot that we watched? Was that 82 or 83?
Give me a second. Looking it up now.
Yeah, it was very early 80s.
81.
81. Okay, because I think there's this weird thing in mass market entertainment where there's sort of like revolutionary tipping points where a lot of stuff changes in a short period of time, because this 1990 pilot, in terms of pacing and the way they really are coy with the powers and the costume, is much closer to 1981's Greatest American Hero than it would be to anything, 9 years before, than it would be to anything made in 1999. And I'd have to spin through my Rolodex to get a good 1999 example. But it's just interesting. The thing 9 years before seems to have more in common with it than something that was made 9 years later. Because, boy, they do play coy with that Flash suit, which is the only reason I want to watch The Flash is to see the suit.
They really kept it up. Like, we just need to extend this for as long a period as we possibly can. So, like, you know, let's just kind of let's milk it for all it's worth.
And I can understand that when you're talking about, modern day productions or even older productions with practical effects. Effects are expensive, but the suit, you either have it or you don't. So I don't think you're saving money by being coy with it.
No.
Well, I will tell you though, Bruce. I mean, are you hoping for something like Captain America 1990, where he's wearing like Seinfeld jeans and?
Well, I mean, the pleated slacks were a little bit better than the Seinfeld jeans, but he does show up, like I said, in that this is what people, in a thousand years, archaeologists will say in 1990 humans wore this shirt, and he has that shirt on in one of the scenes. So.
Yeah, a lot of baggy fashions in 1990.
Okay, man. Is it okay if we just jump all over the place? Because while we're on fashion, I got a couple things I want to bring up.
Please.
Now, Amanda Pace plays Tina McGee. Mm-hmm. Tina McGee is a character from the comics, by the way, but she was introduced in 1987. She's a Wally West supporting character, not a Barry Allen supporting character. But she's an absolutely, absolutely lovely woman. And man, do they manage to find new and creative ways to make her look bad in what they dress her in.
Yeah, she's a very attractive lady, and that it's just the 90s fashions do no good to nobody.
Now, the costumer on the series was a guy named Bob Miller, and the way he described her costuming was he wanted her to wear unaggressive clothing. And I got to tell you, man, if Amanda Pace can't make culottes look good, then you probably shouldn't have culottes as a thing.
I want to stop you right there. Let's do a little detective work ourselves. Let's Barry Allen ourselves into this. His name is Bob Miller. Bob as in Robert. Robert as in Dick. You're telling me screen legend Dick Miller was the costume designer for this program?
I don't think so. I think it was Bob Miller,
well,
as in Barney Miller's less successful brother.
I don't know.
I think he's probably more successful. Have you ever watched Barney Miller?
Oh, man, I'm a big Fish fan.
Why is that not surprising?
I know in college, a bunch of people loaded me in a car to see Fish, and I was very disappointed when Ava was working out.
These people need deodorant.
Bring on Vagoda!
Now, when we do finally get to see the costume, what did you think of it? Because they did put a lot of work into that costume. I think it was like $100,000 went into the costume, and there were 4 of them, so $400,000. And of course, that's going to be applied to the pilot's budget. So $400,000 of that budget's just the costume.
Hey, for what it is, man, and the area with which it's in, it works. It's not bad. I mean, like it's a I never think of the Flash as a giant bulky man, but John Whistle Ship is not a small dude anyways.
Yeah. I heard a really great theory about this because the costume works at times. And the theory is this, is that in the 90s, the costume had to look great for still photography. Mm-hmm. Like as long as it was a still shot and the costume looked great, like perfect. But anytime the character is moving, because when you watch the Flash move on this show, it's just ridiculous. It's like Keaton's Batman, where it's like, how are you turning your neck, dude? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what happened, something happened in the late 90s where they realized, oh, you know what? It's not about just making the still photography work. It doesn't matter if it's like realistic to the costume in the comic books. We need to make it work in real life. And the second that happened, everything changes as far as the action in superhero movies. Mm-hmm. Because then the character or the stuntman or the actor or whomever can actually do the moves that these characters can perform. And it changes everything. And I don't know what movie that is where it changes. I want to say it's probably Blade, but I don't know. And it completely changed the game.
I think, and it's about the same time as Blade, but I think that the first really well done costume, and a lot of money was spent doing this costume, but I'm going to say Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty. Yeah, I mean that's one that's like that could have ended up again so terribly done, but it was one of those like, especially at the time, it was like, man, this is as good as it's ever been. And it really worked. And the thing is that it was also a reimagining in a small sense of what the Spider-Man suit was like. Nobody really thought about kind of a raised webbing and stuff, so it was kind of unique and different, but still kept a lot of the same classic sort of stuff in there. A kid still could have never made that thing, but you know how it is.
Now, and as far as the Flash costume in this John Wesley Shipp series, the only knock I have against it at all is just the cowl. You know, they really went out of their way to make a bodysuit that I'll say is pretty darn good, especially for television, better than anything I'd seen up until that point. The only thing that could potentially compete with it would be, you know, Burton's Batman, and it had its flaws and was shot in the dark, and you didn't get good looks at it. This is bright red, man, and the bodysuit's great, but it's like they put 99.9% of their effort into the bodysuit. Then, like when shooting was getting ready to begin, somebody realized they needed a cowl, and they just cut some holes in a pillowcase and threw it over his head.
The one thing
to me, the biggest problem is the feet. The feet look so ridiculous on that costume.
Well, man, Liefeld drew the costume. What are you going to do?
No, he actually has feet.
I like how he like he's talking about, like he's got the lower half of the suit, but he wants to make the cowl and everything. And he goes, by the way, I know we're in kind of a time crunch and these supervillains are going out and they're jacking up the town hardcore here, but I've designed a logo. Could you put that on the chest on account of I want to like be different from what these guys are rocking and rolling?
Yeah, it looks like he's doing it in crayon. Like he actually like took the time to color it in crayon.
He's got that. He's got that nephew that he can borrow all that kind of art supplies from. So you know.
Nope. You know that's where he got it, man. A guy like that doesn't have any colored pencils lying around the house. He has to go to the nephew's house and get the Crayola 64 set.
Ooh, him and Captain America from 1990 should get together and do kind of a collab art project.
Now,
Jimmy, where's all the red?
One last costume, or one last comment. I've got a couple more. I shouldn't say one last, but the costume was built by Stan Winston Studios. They're kind of a big name in effects, right?
That's why it looks good.
Yeah, they're huge.
And then also, I found one reference that claimed that John Wesley Shipp had to wear water-cooled underwear to battle the body heat that would build up in that suit. So you know that thing probably smelt a little ripe at the end of a shoot if he had to wear water-cooled undergarments to make it work.
I got to tell you, I felt really bad for hair and makeup on this show because he's constantly sweating. I mean, he's the actor John Wesley Shipp is always sweating, and so you know that there was probably a team. Like there's somebody who just works his forehead. You know?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, man, I don't think he ever recovered either because he looked like he was a little thirsty when I saw him like 3 years ago.
A little thirsty.
His lips were pursed. I offered to let him use my chapstick, and he said no, thank you.
What? Is he too good for your chapstick?
It was off-brand. It wasn't really chapstick.
It was chap with 3 P's.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. How many P's on that chapstick? No, thank you, sir. Good day.
It was chopstick.
That's racist. All right. But I think you're right. I love the design. The design is so 90s. But the thing is like you said, this is such an influence from Batman. Tim Burton's Batman, that it's ridiculous. So much so that we've got the Elfman music going, which is honestly pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
Sure, because it sounds like the stuff that he didn't use for Batman.
Yeah, it's all the outtakes. They're like, what if we tweak it?
I wonder if they even had to pay for it, or if they just got it like that was the B side of the Batman record.
Hey, Warner Brothers is Warner Brothers.
One thing I'll say about the Elfman music is, Elfman music is identifiable, and at first it just seemed to outclass the show a little bit. Like it was almost distracting, I guess. I shouldn't say outclass, but it's just distracting because I hear it and suddenly I'm thinking about The Simpsons. I'm thinking about Batman. I'm thinking about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'm thinking about everything except for The Flash when I hear it.
There's the other part that I found really disturbing and took me completely out of the show. So the Flash wants to get his powers under control by going to Star Labs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Star Labs literally has one person working at it. There's no one else. Whenever he walks into the building, it's just her behind a desk with those glass bricks that you used to see everywhere.
Oh, I was going to mention those. I know you'd like those.
Man, are you kidding me? It was awesome. Then on top of it, they're like, hey, let's go see how your powers work. So they go to a racetrack. It looks like a NASCAR track because there's that big bank, like big angles on it. And it's literally just the two of them at the track. So is Star Labs just her? And does she have like all the money? Because you know how expensive it is to rent out an entire racetrack for a day? It's a lot of money.
Well, you know that truck she was driving around? That's also where she lives, so she doesn't have to pay rent.
Oh, you know what? She is smart. Amanda Pays is really smart.
And she wears clothes that are discarded from the local clown college, so she saves.
Why, we could fit another child in these clothes.
It was weird, man. It was weird the way they dressed her. But yeah, the racetrack part, I never even thought about the fact that they made no attempt to be stealthy. They just, I assumed that they had to like cut a chain off of the gate or something to get in there because it doesn't look like they were there on an official capacity.
Look, there's always people who work at the track who are around. You got like people who are like emergency services who are always at the track, and they just, they're there 5 days a week. So there's no way she gets in there without having to pay for the track. And like, look, we want privacy. We demand privacy. Like that
hello,
kind of thing.
Gents. We are here to inspect things. Yeah, that's the ticket. We're here to inspect things. Everybody leave.
My partner is the Red Ghost.
You see.
We represent Vandelay Industries, and we're here to make sure that your bleachers are up to code.
Skidoo, get out of here. Bye-bye now. We got to go. You can't do it. I did.
And I like the time.
I had to stop myself from saying something worse.
I like a simpler time, too, where a speedster breaking the sound barrier was supposed to really impress us.
Yeah, that was cool, man. Like when you see, she's like, his readings are off the charts, and you look at the charts, and the charts say like 500 miles an hour.
I know, man, because we're so used to these people that can run faster than time itself now. So it's pretty hard to time travel when you can only go just a little over 6 bills at your top speed.
Oh man, and how many times do they go to the, oh man, I got to eat something well? Like they hit it no less than 4 times during the pilot alone.
And that's totally a Wally West trait. I mean, Wally West is the one I always associate with throwing down like 5 pizzas at a time and stuff. So you got to remember, Wally West was the Flash in the comics when this was made. So though they called the character Barry, and they do give him some Wally traits.
Okay.
It's funny, man, because Wally is my Flash. Like that's the Flash I grew up on. Yeah. Barry Allen was dead. So, for years and years and years, I read Wally West as the Flash. It was one of my favorite comic books.
Wally and Kyle. Kyle was my Green Lantern, for better or worse.
Bruce, you're the expert on this. Wally versus Jughead. Who wins in a hamburger eating contest?
Oh, it's going to be Wally, but it's going to be close. Wimpy will come in. Wimpy could challenge both of them, but I'm going to go with Wally.
What about the Hamburglar? Where does he come in?
He doesn't
actually eat them. He just steals them and then sells them on the secondary market at a discount.
He's quite the narc. He just picks them up and just like, I got to get these.
Could you imagine the kind of person that goes to the black market hamburger place?
Somewhere Mayor McCheese is crying.
Never get the secondhand fish sandwich. I'll tell you that right now. But anyway.
Nice.
When he breaks the sound barrier, I think he holds his ears, or he talks about the sonic boom hurts his ears. You guys recall what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And for a very bizarre, specific, and personal reason, that got under my skin. Now, do you guys know the real human being who was the first to go faster than the speed of sound? Either one of you
Chuck
guys?
Yeager.
I was going to say Rick Springfield, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeager on 2 occasions. When I was younger, when I was in college, I had dinner with Chuck Yeager on a couple of occasions. Oh. And the first time I met him, I had a chance to ask him some questions. And one question I asked him is, what did it sound like when what did the sonic boom sound like when you broke the sound barrier? The guy just starts laughing at me. He's like, you're supposed to be a smart kid, aren't you? He said, if you're going faster than the speed of sound, how's the sound going to catch up to you? I didn't hear a thing. So it made me look dumb. First thing I ever said to General Yeager. I think the next thing I said to him was probably better. But anyway, because of that, I feel like, man, I was the dumbest guy alive to think he could hear the sonic boom. And then I watch it here, and Flash is hearing his own sonic boom. So take that, Chuck.
It's like, Chuck, you're a liar.
Flash said it's so. Now, how many people do you think have actually had a conversation with both John Wesley Shipp and Chuck Yeager and wants to share sonic boom experience between the two?
What other podcast?
What did John Wesley Shipp say when you asked him if he broke what it sounded like when he broke the sound barrier?
He said, please put your chapstick away and let me sign that.
There are other people in line,
sir. Super pleasant guy. But
he seems great.
I talked to him about Mark Hamill, actually. So we didn't get to talk about the sonic boom. But if I see him again, it's coming up.
I like how everything breaks on this guy. He tries everything. Like I said, my favorite part was like that I still remembered from a kid was him kind of cleaning up the house and everything. Why is everything going so well and then just at the end it putters out and just like he can't finish it?
Guy needs the guy needs a Camelback with some maple syrup or some canola oil or something that's got high caloric value in it built into that suit. Did they work that out before this season ended? I'm hoping that they came up with some easy solution, like at least keep some Skittles in your pocket or something.
I don't remember that, but what I can tell you is that it surprises me to learn that they spent so much money on the suit that they used on the pilot, because he has a different suit by the end of season 1.
Now, how different is it? Like just spray paint, cosmetic difference, or they actually molded a new suit?
They molded a new suit because it's not the same like puffy where it looks like velveteen and, like molded and all that stuff. It's like it's almost like spandexy.
Because that was kind of the direction I thought they were trying to go away from. But the guy needs to figure out. I'd like to see Flash with the fanny pack that's just chock full of Hershey's Kisses and Kit Kats and stuff, so he can eat while he's running and not crash like that.
I got to get
just
my blood sugar
butter.
I don't know. It was like a red ghost with a fanny pack and a Kit Kat bar.
All right, let's talk about this villain. Well, actually, let's talk about all the villains.
Man, I got so much to say.
I love these guys. It is all just the villains out of West Side Story.
It's funny. It reminds me of the Warriors. Like Flash is fighting the Warriors.
Here's what it reminds me of. Once again, I'm the guy who sees things askew sometimes. But there was an episode of Mama's Family where Vicki Lawrence's character Mama had to deal with some renegade punk rockers in town.
Uh-huh.
It's like they had all the exact same costumes for Mama's Family punk rockers that they had here in 1990s Flash. And that episode of Mama's Family probably would have been about 89.
Did Vinton just completely wuss out and
Mama had to handle it all by herself.
Of course she did.
I don't doubt it.
But nobody, Mama was Medea before Medea was cool.
God, I love
Medea's
Mama's
never
Family.
been cool.
Okay, touche.
I love these bad guys. These bad guys are so much like the DC 80s villains, you know what I mean? Like it's the kind of thing that I would expect when you are reading a copy of like the Justice League of America from the 80s, where Aquaman is the leader of the group, where like Vibe, like Aquaman has to pull Vibe out of the projects and stuff, and it's like a bunch of white dudes like riding motorcycles and stuff, and they got matchsticks in their mouth. It's awesome.
The totally homogenous gangs that used to show up at this period of time. This is still straddling the 80s and the 90s here, where if your gang was if your gang had one Hispanic person, the entire gang had to be Hispanic. If your gang had one white person, the entire gang had to be Bruce Springsteen fans dressed like Mama's Family punk rock extras.
Oh, so good, man. They need to bring that back. They really do.
How bad was the warehouse community in the late 80s, early 90s that there's so many abandoned, like between like this and Ninja Turtles, like wherever you go, there's an abandoned, like, warehouse district that's just full of punks and schizoids, man. It's great.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. What happened to the shipping industry in the 80s?
It went downhill. It's like that and like, any John Woo movie. They're all, all that era, man. They're all in warehouses and it's, I love it.
And it's always on the water too, where it's like, that's valuable property. And there's just a couple of like hoodlums like walking around, like playing video games and smoking cigarettes.
That's what there's always video game arcade cabinets and cigarettes. Absolutely.
Man, this is also, they're a little bit more diverse in the racial makeup in the Ninja Turtles, but this is kind of like the hangout that Shredder's recruited crew hangs out in the Ninja Turtles movie.
But not enough skateboard ramps in this one.
Yeah, but they got all the motorcycles. Yeah, who in the world does like, okay, we're going to give you our signature punishment. We're going to strap you backwards on a motorcycle and send you down a tunnel.
Now
How many motorcycles do they go through, man? Motorcycles don't grow on trees anymore.
Well, that was going to be my question to you as a resident motorcycle expert. How did they keep it in gear and keep it going all the way down there? How did they lock that in? I couldn't tell.
Hey, they're supervillains, man. They can do crazy stuff. And the episode of Mama's Family aired on November 25th, 1989. It was called Bubba's House Band, and the band was called the Bone Crushers. So that would have been, those costumes would have been pretty fresh in 1990.
That's great.
All they got to do is quick recycle, man. That's all it takes. What were
I'm telling you, I think they're the same costumes.
Did we ever find out what the racquetball sized pumpkin bombs that they were kind of doing? Did we find out, or did I not pay attention? And what were those?
That's a drop thread, man. I feel like that's a drop thread because when it comes to the attack on the prison, those spheres of destruction just kind of disappear,
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty good thing because they'd walk by all the way from the beginning and they're just bombing out cars and stuff. It seemed pretty rad, but they just kind of disappeared.
I paid close attention to the members of that gang, and I'm going to be honest, none of them look like chemical engineers to me, so I'm not sure where they got that.
You've always had a good eye for that kind of thing, Leslie. What is their neon budget also? There's a whole lot of neon this band is using.
Like I said, this is straddling a specific time. It's straddling Burton and Schumacher here. They've got the neon and the Elfman.
You got to understand, in the late 80s, early 90s, neon you could get, for about $0.10 a square foot. So,
and now you can get it for $0.10 a square yard. It didn't go up in price or anything.
Well, it's fancy. That's all it is. Just fancy stuff. I like it.
Man,
the money is in the transformer anyway of a neon sign. Just so you know.
Oh man, Transformers. So let's talk about this old grandma-looking Linda Park. Did you guys catch that Linda Park looked like she should be somebody's mother-in-law on this show?
Yeah, it was odd. Well, not to say that there's not a lot of odd things in this, but
the oddest thing is, Wally West is the Kid Flash. So if this is, let's say, within the first month of Barry Allen becoming the Flash, then that means Wally West is probably a max 12 years old right now. And when he eventually becomes the adult Wally West and he falls in love with this Linda Park, who, like I said, looks like she's probably my mother-in-law's age, that's going to be a serious Harold and Maude DC television moment. I wish this show had gotten like 11 seasons just so I could have seen that.
That's super weird. That's the reason why it's super weird. The thing that I thought was really weird was the casting of Iris West. Because Paula Marshall is who plays Iris West and she's at the dinner table and she's all 90s out,
90s to the hilt.
Yeah, like super 90s out. And Barry, the guy, and John Wesley Shipp, he's kind of more of a clean cut style guy even at that time, and he's with a girl who clearly is like she smokes clove cigarettes, and if The Crow was out she would be into that. Mm-hmm. and she's hanging out with a guy who really is like, I just really want to be a cop and a young Republican, and these two people would never be together.
I mean, there's this serious feeling like John Wesley Shipp probably looks older than he is. That actress probably looks younger than she is, but it really felt like 45-year-old dating a high school student here.
Yeah, it really did.
And and she also, like you said, she dresses like one of the girls that used to make fun of Brenda on 90210.
So who else was happy to see the Bells in this, man?
Oh, Belzer. I didn't know that he was going to be in here. That was a nice little surprise when I saw him pop up on the TV in the background.
For a half a second. And he gets a credit at the beginning of the show. I was like, wow, dude.
Is that enough to put this in that Tommy Westfall universe, Sean?
No, because he's not playing Munch.
Oh, that's right. He's playing Klein. Joe Klein is the guy's name.
Yeah,
but,
close.
If he was Munch, he would be in the St. Elsewhere universe, but he's not.
Well, we've already addressed how much older Barry's brother looked than John Wesley Shipp. Did we mention that his name was Jay?
No, we have not mentioned that yet. And this felt like we should look it up and see if he's actually writing, like one of the co-writers of this show.
But anyway, Jay Garrick is who I guess they're obviously intending this character to be an homage to. Naming him Jay, having him be like way too old to be the guy's brother, and then having him sort of die, and the Flash has to carry on his legacy for him. Yeah, I guess it's somebody who thinks they're giving us a Jay Garrick without giving us a Jay Garrick.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense.
He ain't got no Mercury hat on.
Well, if this had gotten a second season, you never know. But John Wesley Shipp eventually got a Mercury hat, and he sports it well.
Yes, he does. I like him. He was not one of my problems with the new season of The Flash.
Oh, I like him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to. Oh, here's something that I didn't catch from the pilot, but when I read a plot summary of the pilot, it was mentioned that Tina McGee told Barry Allen that Flash costume was a prototype deep sea diving suit. Did you guys catch that at all?
Yeah, she says it when they're at the racetrack.
I remember prototype. I didn't remember the deep sea bit.
Yeah, I guess I was still seething about the sonic boom or something, but I don't know what is it about deep sea diving that makes it really well suited to high speed running?
It has something to do with the pressure.
Yeah, but it's more friction than pressure when you're running, isn't it?
Well, look, man, it's all gamma rays turn that guy into a green monster. I mean,
totally medically accurate. I can attest to that. But anyway, I guess they took the deep sea diving suit and sprayed it down with some Teflon or something because they did treat it a little bit.
All we know is this. She's the one who did that and that alone. It's just her. No one else.
That is cool, man.
That much we know.
She does two things. She drives an ice cream truck and makes type deep sea diving suits. I can't tell what else she does.
Man, the Star Labs logo is so 90s.
Which brings me to another thing, which is that so I don't remember the end of this series. Do the Flash and her finally hook up? Because this pilot is all about them making smacky eyes at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I don't know either. I didn't watch it, so.
It sounds like something they wouldn't do in season 1, especially in 1990. Ever since Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd got together and the ratings tanked, they tended to wait a couple of seasons before they did that. Even Lois and Clark went down the tubes after the wedding.
You're not wrong there. Yeah, that show really started. I was just like, as a kid, I was watching that show going, can we please get to the superhero stuff? I'm tired of all this mushy. Like, I like, I wasn't one of the kids. I wasn't at that age going, ooh, gross girls. I was just like, can we please see fight some super villains and stuff, please? I'm so tired of the soap opera. No, thank you.
Did either of you guys recognize the actor that played the role of Julio in this show?
Oh, yeah, man. Classic. Alex, I want to say dessert. It's always dessert, right?
Well, I just know him as the blind guy from Ted Danson's most beloved sitcom, Becker.
Well, I love him in Swingers. That's probably my favorite. But I do like him. He was great in Becker, though, for real, though, because he was just always that smart-ass kind of just like, well, I'll tell you what, sucker.
And my first instinct when he came on screen is I thought, that actor's really good. You can't even tell he's blind.
How dare you? How dare you? Oh,
I said the same thing about Geordie LaForge when I saw him on Reading Rainbow.
He doesn't have a carburetor on his face. Let's go. What's going on? Now, I didn't realize this because I was looking at his bio here real quick. Apparently, on Wolverine the X-Men, he was on an episode as Nick Fury. How about
Oh
that?
yeah, voice only. So I couldn't tell if he was
that?
blind or not. He was blind in one eye in that episode.
They give him all of his sides in Braille. You're right.
Oh man, and
Guy's a hell of an actor.
I think I've pretty much pulled through all my notes here, man. I brought in Vicki Lawrence and Evening Shade. I'm really pulling up to say. What was their plan about the prison? They're just gonna like let people out of prison. Like he wanted to get his girlfriend back, but why is he letting all the rest of the prisoners free at the same time? Because if crime is your business, that's just increasing your competition, letting everybody out, isn't it?
If they all respect you enough, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying.
This is Joker level anarchy kind of stuff here. This isn't the sort of thing that a well-oiled machine, and I do mean well-oiled, like Pike would.
They all had an oiliness about them. There's no doubt about that.
And I also love it that they put together a task force to bring down Pike's crew. And they say, you know what? The bad guys ride motorcycles, so we're going to make sure that our entire task force is all motorcycles. We're not even going to give them one SUV just in case it would come in handy. So they can fight crime in the rain. We can only fight crime on sunny nights.
That seemed like a
All
real...
they gave me was this pogo ball.
It seemed like the city was just like itching to use money. They were just like, how do we... Oh, a perfect excuse. Let's all get motorcycles, guys. It's pretty awesome. We'll get some motorcycles. We'll get some awesome vests and stuff. And finally, an excuse to just spend some of our taxpayers' money. I hated that.
There's been a rash of burglaries perpetrated by criminals wearing K-Swiss shoes. Let's go ahead and order in a batch of K-Swiss for our task force.
They like them. All right. Now, before we get down to the nitty-gritty of this bad boy, we have to ask ourselves one very important question, is how does this program relate to our good friend, Sylvester Stallone?
Well, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
If you're a right-thinking American male, you know Joyce Heiser Robinson. You probably just don't remember her name. In the 90s television version of The Flash, she plays the role of Megan Lockhart, a role she played for 3 episodes. But in the 80s, it would have been hard to see a movie that did not have her in it. She's the lead actress in Just One of the Guys. She's in Valley Girl and Spinal Tap and Mancuso, FBI, starring my former writing partner's favorite actor of all time, Robert Loggia. We used to do an impression. It would go like this. Loggia. Please leave your relationship advice for Robert Loggia. Chuck from Dayton writes, Dear Loggia, my girlfriend and I are always arguing. How can I fix this? If a broad's giving you lip, spank her in the front butt. I'm acting legend Robert Loggia. I'm doing even a small bit of research. It turns out that Joyce Heiser is funny. In an interview given in 2005, she said, and I'm quoting here, my life changed after Just One of the Guys. People stopped looking at my face and started looking at my chest instead. That's secret funny, and that's a lady who gets it. So how does Joyce Heiser Robinson relate to Sylvester Stallone? Well, in 1983, she played the role of Linda in the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive, a movie we discussed on episode 95 of HMP, Agent Carter Season 2. Adam was great during that episode. Bruce was great, too. In fact, everyone was really, really good, even Adam. And Staying Alive was directed by a guy who isn't afraid to make a sequel no one was asking for, Sylvester Stallone. I'm not going to go into a deep tear about Staying Alive since we already did that on episode 95. So instead, I'm going to talk about Joyce Heiser Robinson. She's a damn good actress, and she came up during a time when, as long as you were pretty, you didn't have to be very good. I'm looking at you, Victoria Principal. Her last movie credit is 2014's The Wedding Pact, starring Haley Duff. And while I've never heard of it, I went to the most reliable and credible place for movie criticism, IMDb user reviews. And this week's user review for The Wedding Pact comes from CJ Sema, and they write, great film. Warning, spoilers. I really enjoyed this film. It's great to see a romantic comedy these days without lots of gratuitous hardcore sex acts. This was funny, original, and wholesome entertainment for the whole family. Overall, a great picture that has it all. Funny black best friend, lots of music, voiceover narration to explicitly explain the story, cute doggy, nonstop 2009 era pop music, and surprise ending. 5 stars.
Really
Thanks,
wish you wouldn't have
CJ
spoiled
Sema. CJ did leave out a few things, however. Number 1, Joyce Heiser Robinson. And number 2, it was directed and written by Matt Berman. Now, Bruce or Adam, does that name ring a bell for either of you? Matt Berman?
Not me.
Rick Berman's brother.
Well, you should remember who Matt Berman is because Matt Berman wrote and directed another movie known as Fart the Movie.
Oh, my gosh. What in the world?
So there you have it, HMPers. It's been a real emotional roller coaster this week during the Stallone connection. Now, Sam Scudder, played by David Cassidy, and Philip Moses, played by Bryan Cranston. Let's review the 1990 Flash pilot so we can get ready for Netflix's Iron Fist, which I've heard nothing about great things about it. So we should set our expectations super, super high.
Indeed we should. All right, here on Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own little special rating system. It's called the Patented Robin Rating System, and if you'd like to figure out how it lays out, go to facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast. It's right there at the top of the screen, and while you're there, why not throw a like up on that bad boy, man? We got a lot of interesting, fun stuff going on there. All right, Bruce, where does the pilot of 1990's The Flash fall in the H&P Robin Rating System for you, sir?
Well, I don't have a real clear memory of how this season played out, but I seem to get the idea that the pilot might have been the worst episode of the whole short-lived series. So, saying that, just because I don't like the pilot doesn't mean that I don't understand that a lot of people have a lot of fun watching the show. I'm a big fan of John Wesley Shipp, obviously a big fan of Mark Hamill, but just talking about this pilot, I'd say that Amanda Pace, her wardrobe alone gets this as Stephanie Brown.
Mr. Keenan.
I like this a good deal more than Bruce, but, I have a lot of fond memories during that time. Buying overalls where you didn't put both straps over your shoulders, just one, one strap.
Yeah.
It's like trying to buy those hats where they put the rim on the back instead of the front.
Exactly, except for you were a total tool if you did that.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I had a backwards hat and both straps up on my overall shorts.
Oh, no.
Beatings daily.
Hard to believe you're at home studying, Bruce. Anyway, so, I really like, it's just nostalgia for me. I'm going to give this a low Tim Drake. I really do. I really did enjoy myself watching this.
Wow.
Okay. So yeah, I think I'm in the middle. I'm just going Damien on this, right there in the middle, because I think you do have to take in account that, look, this is late 80s, early 90s stuff coming in here. If you keep that in mind, it's corny, it's a little overlong for a pilot, let's be frank, but there's some comedy gold to be mined here. And for what it is, it's okay. I think the Danny Elfman score and stuff, the Wild Batman Reject as it is, does help kind of elevate things a little bit. And I kind of want to watch some more. It made me want to watch more episodes to kind of go just to relive what I had kind of thought I sort of remember, maybe, So
I'd say any episode with a charismatic villain is going to be better than this. The ones with Mr. Freeze, the ones with the Trickster, of course.
Yeah.
I think that's what's missing because Shipp does just fine, but the villain's kind of nebulous and one-dimensional, and it's not a recognizable name, and just I think that's where it fell flat.
It's got pilotitis.
Well, so does,
for sure.
think about it like this, Bruce. It works the same way even with the modern Flash TV show.
Yeah, I agree, man. Amanda Pace was on the CW Flash a couple of episodes, in the first season, and thank goodness they didn't make her keep the same wardrobe.
That lady's got some huge shoulder pads.
Did you know she's married to Corbin Burnson?
Really?
Yeah, that's what Wikipedia told me.
I did not know that.
Wikipedia never lies. You know that. All right. Well, that is it, everybody. Again, thank you to everybody who voted on Patreon, patreon.com/HMP. And if you'd like to join us next month and vote yourself, why don't you do that, man? Anybody from $1 on up does that. And, of course, as I said at the beginning of the show, the more you give, the more you get. That's what is kind of fun about all this kind of good stuff. So that is it. Now, next week, as Sean said there, we're going to be reviewing the first 6 episodes of Iron Fist. It is, if you've been looking at the internet, it's not been getting great reviews, but you know what? I say I don't let other people dictate what I like to watch ahead of time, nor do I think the majority of those outlets have any clue about what they're talking about. Sorry, Hollywood Reporter, I don't trust you on comic book stuff because who are you? Let's be frank. So we're gonna make up our own darn minds here. So join us back next week for the first 6 episodes of Iron Fist. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, sir?
Well, there's something interesting here I want to share, because if you go to Amazon, you'll see that the written version of my book is rated 5 stars, and the audio version is rated 4 stars. They're both great, but I kind of expected that rating to be sort of the inverse of that. So it's kind of cool to see what's going on. People need to check out Dragon in the Needles, available on Amazon, available on Audible. You can get it for free on Audible. You don't have to work too hard to do that. And, please check it out. Check out Chubby Wizard podcast. Check out Heroes and Villains, where I recently talked about one of Sean's favorite characters, Major Victory.
And Mr. Keenan.
I am surprised to learn Major Victory is one of my favorite superheroes.
Hey, he's got a mullet and a red bandana like Rambo.
How can you go wrong?
You can reach me at Hero Movie Sean on Twitter, and also please follow my new podcast, Loja Pod. Once a week, we have advice given out by Robert Loja, and it's a good time.
And of course, my other podcast, The Film Find, thefilmfind.com. Preacher podcast. We got a launch date for Preacher, gentlemen. It's gonna be happening not too long.
June, son.
Gonna be good. And of course, my other podcast, Nerd Talk Now. This come Monday, we're recording Monday night at 10 p.m. It'll be out Tuesday for those of you that listen to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or check it out on YouTube. We're gonna be talking the new King Kong movie, man. And I'm bringing a friend on, Justin Mullis, who's been on the Film Find a couple times. Super big into all the kind of monsters and stuff. Has a wildly huge knowledge on all this kind of stuff. That will definitely be an episode to check out. So check out Nerd Talk Now, everybody. Facebook.com/Nerd Talk Now. Live shows 10 p.m. on the weekdays, man. So that is it, everybody. Join us next week when we talk the first 6 episodes of Iron Fist on Netflix. For Sean Keenan, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Goodbye, Marty and Evie.